this is as good as the lighting is going to get in here, but I wanted to come on here and share with you some things that's been on my mind today. I'm just going to share 3 things to those that feel called in the ministry. Just some things that I have learned being in the ministry. And maybe if you're in the ministry or feeling that tug, you'll realize, hey, first of all, I'm not alone, and I'm not as crazy as I thought I was, and this is kind of normal to feel this way. So, but 3 things that you need to learn to be ready to accept when you're in the ministry. Just this, like I said, this is just stuff that has been on my mind today, coming from a personal experience. So first thing that I was thinking of was, not in any particular order, by the way, was we got to be ready to accept the fact that we're going to be hidden. There's going to be a time that we're going to be hidden. If we're not hidden, then it's very dangerous. And what I mean by that is, I'm not saying we're going to be hidden forever, but it can be dangerous when we are automatically placed in the spotlight. Some people, successors, for example, if you have taken on the role that has been passed on to you, maybe somebody has been in a position of ministry up front, maybe a leading position or something, whether it's being a pastor or, just head of a ministry of some form. A lot of times they'll have a successor, somebody to come and take their place, once they either pass on or retire or whatever. And a lot of times, I'm not saying this goes for every time, but a lot of times people want things just handed to them, instead of going through the difficult processes that many of us walk through. We have to learn to be okay with being hidden. We have to be okay with being hid in a valley, in a cave at times, being plucked away from the crowd. See, when the Lord speaks to us that there is more, like there's a stirring inside and you feel that tug, through the Word of God and through your encounters with the Lord and through confirmation from other people and things, that you're going a certain direction, maybe of ministry. God does place individual gifts in our lives to be used for the upbuilding of the kingdom. He has a call on our lives to do His work, but we all, as the body of Christ, maybe operate in a different way. But we sometimes, when we first get started, maybe it's almost like we get a glimpse of how things will be one day. We feel that passion, that stirring, that hunger, that desire, to operate in what God has called us to do. And we have these big expectations, and that's okay. But what I have learned for myself is that that glimpse, maybe just a small glimpse of what the future may end up kind of being like. Not that you know every detail, but it's just giving you a glimpse, but it doesn't just go from starting point to you step right into it, to being able to hold that fruit in your hands, right away. It doesn't happen like that. There is labor involved in being able to harvest that. We have to work in the field, and the field can be hot and very unpleasant sometimes, hard work. But it just keeps coming to my mind how we are oftentimes hidden for a purpose. You believe, and other people have spoke over you, maybe that God's placed a certain call on your life, that God's going to use you in a certain way or whatever. And so, like I said, it doesn't just happen like that. And maybe it doesn't make sense to you. Maybe you feel overlooked. Maybe you feel like you're always the last to be chosen or not seen at all. And listen to me. I'm talking to those that, this is particularly for those that are in the ministry, you know what I'm talking about. But if you're hearing me, I want you to understand that I already know, and I'm sure many others also understand, that it's not about our name getting out there in the first place. It's not about us getting the glory. But what I am saying is, it comes with a passion, though, working for the Lord, and a satisfaction when you are doing what you know to do. And sometimes things just don't make sense. Like, well, I thought I heard the Lord. I thought that, I'm not being used how I thought I was going to be used, for the Lord or whatever. And you're not fully satisfied until you're operating in the very things that God has told you to do. But it's not always that we're just not maybe being used to our greatest capacity. It's not always that we're not in the right place at the right time. It's not always that we're not in tune. It could be, but there is a space of time, and I can't tell you that space of time, how long or whatever. God has a different journey for each of us to teach us things, but there is a time, a period in our lives where He hides us away. And I have found this to be the case in my life, where even people who I know have questioned me, like, what are you doing? Like, what is going on in your life? Even they feel like there's maybe more for you and more inside of you. And, and they want the best for you. But see, even those that love us, I've kind of said this recently on a different video, but even those that love us and want the best for us, I'm thankful for that, but they don't know what's best for us. God knows what's on the hidden parts of us. He knows what's inside of us. He knows the things that needs to be pruned off of us. He knows the humbling process that needs to take place. He knows the character building that needs to take place. And He tests our faithfulness. He tests our posture to see how we will respond when we are overlooked, when we aren't around a crowd. See, it's easy when you're in an atmosphere where everybody is worshiping the Lord and everybody is, encouraging one another. But what do you do when God plucks you out of the crowd and He sends you into a valley? And don't tell me He can't do it, because even the Spirit of God led Jesus into the wilderness. And sometimes the things that we may despise, the places we may despise, the situations we may despise, we would rather it not be a certain way. Sometimes God appoints those situations and seasons in our lives to show us really what we have inside of us. And if we want to be all we can be for the Lord, we've got to submit to His will and be okay. It's not that I'm going to do this until this happens. Even if you do feel like there's more, you ride it out. Even if you don't know if there is an end in sight. I've had to do that. There have been times, I remember probably 5.5 years ago or so, I remember I was going through something so I was dealing with depression, and I'll get back on track here in a minute. And I was really struggling. We were in a situation, and it just felt like we were all alone. And I remember I was just so done. Like, I felt so done and frustrated. I'm like, God, this is not what I had in mind. I do not understand this situation. I don't want to be here. I don't get it. I'm not being fed. I'm drying up here. Why do you have us here? What purpose is this serving? And other people were questioning too. Why don't you just go ahead and leave? But I finally just broke down and I said, okay, God. I stopped fighting Him and I said, okay. Of course I was crying and different things. I'm like, Lord, I don't feel like I can go on one more step. But that's when I surrendered my will to His. And I said, Lord, but if this is what you have for us, I will stop fighting. I will submit to you and your will. if this is what you have, and I will be faithful, no matter how this turns out. No matter if there's an end in sight to this, I'll be faithful. And I'll have you know, I'm not saying it's always going to happen like this, but the next week, we got a call. And it was just within a matter of days that we were out of that situation that had seemed to last so long. My husband and I, when I say we. So, and honestly, after that prayer, my husband and I were talking, and I hated to say it, but I really felt like I was the reason why we were there, because there were things that had to be, that I had to be taught, I had to be rid of before I could go forward in the work of the Lord. Now, you know, it's like you complete one level and then on to the next level, you want to call it that, you know, and it doesn't mean that all of a sudden, if you're delivered from a situation, that things are just going to be smooth sailing from here on out. No, that's not how it goes. But God does allow situations to show us what we have and show how much faith we truly have in Him. And it's a time where He shows us, you've got to die to yourself. Your will is still trying to lead the way. You're not submitting to my will. And there are things in you that you've maybe even spoken that you've overcome, but you're not there yet. There are things I need to do in you and here now to prepare you for the next thing. You're not ready yet. And so sometimes, see, if we weren't hidden away from everybody, if we're not tested to prove to the Lord that we truly will walk with Him, we say and we sing songs like, you know, I'll pray if I pray by myself. I'm going to stand if I have to stand alone. You know, things like that. Will we? He allows us to prove what we have spoken is truly true. And so, how many can say that? Maybe you feel like you're in a situation where you're being given the opportunity to show that what you have said, well, that's what you mean. And so, anyway, so don't despise the hidden place. It doesn't mean you run and hide. I'm talking about when God Himself puts you in situations where you're hidden and it seems to linger on forever, for a long time. You've questioned, other people have questioned. But I just believe the reason I'm talking about this is because I have been given clarity why the Lord has hidden me away in certain situations. You know, the second thing I wanted to say we need to learn to accept is that we're not going to fit in. We're just not going to fit in. Not only is it because we're a peculiar people anyway as Christians, but I'm talking about people in the ministry. You can't do things that other people do. You cannot respond the way other people respond. You cannot react in certain ways. You can't like things on Facebook that some people like. You can't share things, you know. And there are even going to be, and I've found this to be the case for myself, there are going to be times you feel lonely because even right in the church, like it or not, there are cliques at times. I'm not saying God's for that. He's not. But there are different personalities and different types of people. And, you know, you just feel like an oddball. And when there's a call on your life to do ministry, and when I say ministry, I know that every Christian's called to some form of ministry to do the work of the Lord, but I'm talking really about leading positions, and whether it's pastoring, evangelizing, singing, teaching, whatever, things in that type of ministry. But some people, they're just not going to accept you because you're too spiritual for them. I remember being asked, why do you try to be spiritual 24/7? You can have fun, you know. And there were just some things I felt convicted about, you know, that I couldn't do that they were doing, you know. And if I felt to pray, well, I was going to pray. You know, and I understand there's a balance, but I try to walk very sensitively with the Lord, you know, and hear His voice. But some people's not going to accept that. Even people that claim to be Christians, you're not always going to fit in. I've always felt like an oddball, but even betrayal with friendships, relationships, family. I've been made fun of and been mocked, different things for the call on my life. I'm just different, and it's been a lonely path. But looking back, I see now it had to be that way. It was necessary. I've had to learn to walk with the Lord and only Him. Yeah, He sent people in my life, and I'm thankful for that. We're not supposed to be alone all the time, but we have to be willing to let go and be willing to accept the fact that we're just not going to fit in with everyone. Those youth groups, young people, they might go and do things, and maybe you're invited, but you're just different, and they know it, and you know it, and they treat you a little different, and so many things. There's, I'm Pentecostal, but I've never allowed that to keep me from connecting with other people. I worked at a Baptist bookstore, and when we used to sing, my family and I used to sing in a our gospel group, we would go to Baptist churches, Methodist churches, I think Presbyterian, anyway, Pentecostal, all this stuff, different denominations, Church of Christ, Christian churches. That hasn't mattered to me. But one thing I can say, even as a Pentecostal person, there are people right in the Pentecostal church I just don't fit in with. Some will say you're too worldly. Some will say you're too spiritual. I've never really fit in. I've had to learn to be okay with that. Okay? And just follow the example of the Lord. The next thing I want to say, this is the third one I'm going to wrap up before church tonight. Actually in the Sunday school room right now. The third thing you have to learn to accept if you're called into the ministry. This is only 3 out of, we could continue to list on. But you have to learn to accept the fact that sometimes you're just going to be misunderstood. You're just going to be misunderstood. No matter your intentions, how pure they were, there will be things that you say that people are just going to get offended. They walk around in offense anyway. And sometimes we do need to step back and be taught. But it will hurt when people choose, no matter if you try to explain yourself. I've tried to over-explain myself sometimes. People will choose to misunderstand you because of the offense that they walk in. That's just who they are. It isn't always about us. It's about what's going on inside of them. The enemy, before it even leaves our lips and touches their ears, the enemy loves to twist things around. Yeah, I'm all about being teachable if I've done something wrong. But I'm talking about those situations where you have been pure in your intentions, but it's been misunderstood. People will unfriend you and block you on social media. You don't know why, and it really puts some awkwardness there, but you still, when you see them, you're going to love them anyway. Some things that you said, maybe even from the pulpit. Trust me, I've learned some things about that. That people take, and I had somebody tell me that they carried bitterness in their heart towards me for 2 months because of something I said that had nothing to do with them. But they took it because it stepped on their toes, and it really bothered them, and they thought I was throwing it at them. So, anyway, so there are 3 things that I just wanted to share with you guys. Listen, you're not crazy. It's actually normal to experience these things. You have to realize when God has a call on your life, it can be lonely. It can be a lonely path, but God's doing something. Don't despise the small beginnings. Be okay with being hidden until God tells you it's time to come out of hiding. But you're waiting. I say this often. Your waiting time is not wasted time, and just be willing to submit to the season you're in. Okay. And just realize you're not alone, though. Even though you feel alone, there's somebody who understands. And people that are in the ministry, we're in this thing together. Just have pure intentions. Keep your focus up on the Lord. And do what you do for Him and for nobody else but Him. All right. Be encouraged. Have a good evening.